Good morning and welcome. It is time for the Prosperity Project. Nikki Thomas in the building, and I see we have some folks, some eyes on the page already. Darnaro Evans, how are you, my honey bun? Listen, if you are somewhere watching, please drop a comment in the comments so I can know who you are and where you are. If you have questions, we can take questions as we go or commentary, and we receive all the love as well. So here we are. It is Thursday. That means Prosperity Project time. All right. This is all about giving you the breakthroughs you need to unleash your healthiest, wealthiest self. And self is always where we start. So if we haven't met, my name is Nikki Thomas. You hear me on the radio, 102.9 KBLX in the afternoon, 3 to 8 p.m. every day. I'm on the radio unless I'm taking a vacation day, which I don't really take enough of, to be honest with you. I'm also a digital creator, and the Prosperity Project is brought to you by the Canva Crash Course. Now, if you've been watching us for a minute, you know that the Canva Crash Course is what I use, or should I say Canva is what I use to create all of the graphics here on the Prosperity Project. And if you are looking to expand or upgrade or become a do-it-yourselfer when it comes to expanding your brand, Canva is always where I start. If you're a creative person, you ought to be creating something, an ebook, your own live stream show like the Prosperity Project, or brand packages to make yourself look great on Instagram. Canva is where it all starts. The link is in the post here if you just want to click on it and download it and master Canva in one afternoon. It's easy and fun for me, and I love to teach it to other folks so it can be easy and fun for you, and so you can monetize your business. That's the other thing. We're trying to make money out here. All right. So today, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a powerful discussion with our guest expert. Today's show is all about finding and monetizing your passion. You see, that's a theme here on the Prosperity Project. She is the owner, rather, of Honey Brie Mine. I'm going to say that really slow. Honey Brie Mine. She's a wife, a mother, former collegiate basketball player, high school coach turned cheese lover. And you know, once you're a cheese lover, it doesn't ever go away. You know what I'm saying? Being a cheese lover is something that's deep down inside your chakras somewhere. And at the beginning of 2021, she embarked on her entrepreneurial journey centered around her vision of connecting people through a love of food. And that's always a great connector. She launched Honey Brie Mine as an opportunity to tap into her passion for hosting and cultivating flavor experiences. So as you can see, she's got a way with words too. Please welcome Michaelia Arthur. How are you, sis?
Hello. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning. And I swear we're not related. You're like, she got her cousin on here today. You know, got her cousin. She's just bringing all her cousins and stuff on the Prosperity Project. So this is amazing. I love that we're, talking to you like you're in your kitchen where a lot of the magic happens, maybe?
Yes. I know. You get to see a little peek behind the curtain.
I love it. And we're going to peek behind the curtain as far as like your vision and your passion and all this. So let me just put this out here for everybody, because I know a lot of people watch because they want, some breakthroughs in the area of creative entrepreneurship and just the thing that we're talking today. So there are a lot of parts of business that are challenging, but the connection part of it is really not. So Michaelia is a person that I saw on Instagram. She always had these great reels with all this great food with cheese and fruit and all kind of cute stuff on a tray. And I was like, oh, wow. And I was like, who is this sister? So I literally just became a fan of hers on Instagram. I reached out and said, hey, sis, you want to be on the Prosperity Project? And she said, yeah. And it was just that easy, because the part that we don't talk about enough, all this is really frequency, vibration, connection. And that part, it always comes from a good space. And it's always pretty easy to make things happen when, it happens through the great people in our community. So let's start here, girl. Tell us a little bit about you because there's quite a bit of backstory before we even get to your business. Tell us about you.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's always hard to talk about yourself. Yeah, it's funny because if you were to look at me and ask me 10, 15, 20 years ago, where would I be today? I would have said something with sports. That's what I grew up in. That's what I did my entire life. And even after high school, I was just like, can I major in basketball? So
Mhm.
it was kind of like trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then eventually it got into, I found like this passion for just connecting with people. So I had actually gotten into the admissions world, and that was just a great way to connect with people. But then I was still doing coaching, and that was one of my passions. And I really, honed in on that. And I followed through with coaching and doing that with the high school age girls that I had.
Mm.
And then life kind of, got away from me. I got married and I had kids, and I'm trying to juggle so many things. But over time, I slowly started to be kind of that go-to, because my mom, I give her all the kudos. She was very active with keeping me in the kitchen as a kid. It was like,
Mm.
I don't want you to grow up and be eating just box mac and cheese your entire life. Nothing wrong with that. But she was like, I want you to be able to have flavors. I want you to be able to one day cook for your family. And so it became this thing where it's like, hey, Michaela, we're going to this. Can you bring the snacks? Can you be in charge of the hors d'oeuvres? Can you be in charge of this? And then, you know, it's funny. I look back at some parties that I've done in the past for families, and I'm like, oh God, that doesn't look that great. But at the time, it was awesome. And it was a chance for just everyone to just be around, have this moment to just be together, connect with food, because you get that natural break in conversation when you're stuffing your face.
Mhm.
And then you're just still there, able to connect and enjoy each other's time. And it elongates the time, I feel like, when you have food with you instead of
Mhm.
having to rush through something. So when the pandemic hit, it was, all those things went away. Big family gatherings went away.
Mhm.
Even in my household, it was just kind of like, I don't want to keep cooking every single night and do the same things over and over. And in the past, I had thought about, yeah, I want to get into my own business. And I tried different things, and I thought of different things, and I learned from my mistakes, which we'll kind of get into. Um, but eventually I finally came across somebody, um, an amazing charcuterie gal down in Southern California. And I was like, oh my God, like that is something that brings together an abundance of flavor, allows for people to find things that they like, what they don't like, but again, allows people to connect in a smaller scale. Because of the pandemic, nobody was, really gathering in these large groups. But even a family of four can take a charcuterie board and say, I'm going to go to the park today. We're going to have a picnic. We're going to have an experience and enjoy. Mom doesn't have to go to the store. Mom doesn't have to spend all this time in the kitchen. And this curly haired woman's going to show up and just give us this beautiful display of food. And we can kind of graze and, eat at it over time. And so, it took some time, and I didn't want to jump into it right away, just because I learned the hard way before. I tried to jump into something before, and that's where Honey Brie Mine kind of came about. I think the hardest part was coming up with the name, but even the name has meaning to me. It's, Honey was my grandmother's name that we called her in the family. And then
Mhm.
my middle name starts with Brie, and of course, one of my favorite cheeses is Brie.
Yes.
So, so a little play on words there. And then, right around the time that I launched Honey Brie Mine, it was December, January, and I had a end date of like, I want to get this launched around Valentine's Day. So I was like, be mine, Honey Brie Mine, because we
Mm.
want this meal to be mine. So that's where the name kind of developed from.
I love it. I love all that, girl. When you
Thank
say brie
you.
cheese, you had me at hello. Okay, it's like if you don't like brie cheese, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with your energy. But what I love is I'm going to go back to what your mom said. Can you be in charge of? That is a very empowering statement to hear as a young person.
Yeah.
And we discussed this before we got on camera here. You are a Virgo, right? Uh,
Yes.
my daughter is a Virgo, and I remember we had a big moment because I don't like to cook. I'm not a cook. I'll do it. I don't have any particular passion for it, but my daughter does. And when she made something delicious for me one day, and I said, "Okay, you don't have to clean up the kitchen anymore. I'll take care of that." I said, "You just cook." And she's like, "Hey, I'll take it. I want to cook as much as, so it's like awakening that passion in you when you can, you empower, your kids. So I love that you said that because it was like, wow, that's it. It's a simple sentence that empowers. And I'm so glad that it unfolded like that. Um, so I love that there are all these different points in your life. And like in your bios, like she's a wife, she's a mother, basketball coach, passion for food. Sometimes we take and chop these things up and think, hey, we can't do these things. I'm just going to do this, or I'm just going to do that. You can make it all happen, and I love to see women who make it all happen. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So I love that it all came together for you, and like even like the names and how it just like bam, one point in space time, and here we are. So I'm going to take it slow. It's charcuterie. That's what it is.
Charcuterie. Yes. Yes. And I think it is one of the more challenging words to say. And I will admit, when I first started, I was saying it wrong. And I'm walking around making it seem like I know what I'm talking about. And I'm saying it wrong. I think I was saying charcuterie. I'm like, yes, it's a charcuterie board. And I'm like, eventually I learned, I was like, oh, I've been saying it wrong this whole
Well,
time.
and you gotta make a face. Shit. You gotta make a face when you say it. But yeah, I think I had it wrong a couple of times, and a friend is like, no, it's charcuterie, and I'm like, no, it's French. I don't think cut is in the French vocabulary. Yeah. So, but I love that it's a word. I was born and raised in New Orleans. It's like this is the kind of words we love, um,
Yes.
and it's something that's become very mainstream now that we hey, even if we can't say it, we know what it is, we appreciate, everybody loves them. And just like you were saying, it's an experience when you have one in front of you. So I love that this is like your passion and your business, and it's so expansive. I wrote down the words visual. It's got the visual appeal. It's got the burst of different flavors, which is it's like, wow, I'm gonna have a little bit of the chocolate over here and some fruit and cheese. It's really satisfying. Um, so yeah, so I love that it's just like an art form right now. So passion for cheese lover, you
Yes.
know? What is that? I think all of us can say we have a particular fondness for cheese. Can you describe what you think the appeal is, or what was it for you?
For me, it was just that sense of comfort. It was growing up, I didn't have the artisan cheeses in our house. Like occasionally we did, but it was the standard, cheddar, jack
The
cheese, some
cheese slices,
mozzarella.
yeah.
Yeah. But it was always comfort because when my mom would make that homemade mac and cheese, that was that comfort, or those twice baked potatoes with the cheese oozing out. Like I always loved that. And as I got older, I think my parents realized like, hey, we don't want our kids to be confined to, chicken fingers and pizza all the time. So they started to develop putting more advanced flavors in our household. And, my dad would start to introduce blue cheese. Still not a huge fan for me,
Mhm.
but he would bring in blue cheese, and he would bring in Asiago and like all these different things that, as a 12, 13-year old, you're not necessarily thinking that's what you're going to eat as your snack. And so, as I got older and left the house and things like that, I started saying, okay, let me try these things. I'd go to farmers market and I'd see the cheese vendors there, and I would be like, okay, let me try it. Let me sample it. Let's see what it's all about. And I just fell in love with the different textures. And as I started to research more on the history of cheese, I became fascinated with just the aging process and being able to differentiate between, a fresh cheese and an aged cheese, and just that there's just so many varieties. And I feel like there's thousands of varieties of cheese and
Mm,
amongst the cheese makers that there's no way that I can get through them all anytime soon.
right.
So, just the appeal, going back to your question, the appeal is just that comfort. And so when I bite into that
Mm,
cheese with the honey drizzled on top, with a little piece of fig, it's just that sense of comfort in each bite. So, and then, the next bite is going to be different because I can take that same piece of cheese, but now I'm going to put it on a pumpkin cracker with some pumpkin spread. I know I'm making you hungry.
you triggered me over here. I was like, oh, fig. I'm gonna try that. Figs and yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that you use the word comfort because it's like no matter what the cheese is, it's almost like every different kind has a different memory attached to it.
It does.
We could go from the block of government cheese. It's like that's a good grilled cheese sandwich. It is good
Yes.
macaroni cheese, all the way to the bries and the fancy things, where you have memories in there, about the taste experience. So that's pretty magical that we can say all that about cheese. Look, Felicia Gold says, I love cheese. Absolutely. We all love cheese.
Yes. And
It's
even
so
if you are lactose intolerant, vegan, there is now this market for vegan cheese and lactose cheese. So it's just, there's so much behind the cheese world and that connectivity and just that desire to love it. So I think that there's something for everyone now in the cheese world.
I love it. I love it. And thank you for doing what you do. You just kind of pushed it out there, and it makes us all aware of quite a few different things. Okay, so let's go back to this one. So you're doing a whole lot. Tell us about, because I'm getting the notion that there's a whole lot on your plate. It's not just, oh, I make the cheese boards every day and then I take a nap at 2, and then it's not that. I feel like you got a whole lot going on, and it's always helpful to other creative entrepreneurs to see the framework, or maybe the tools, or maybe the hacks that you've come across to make it
Yeah.
all work. So like, what does a day look like for you?
Woo, man. So to be open and honest, I still have a 9 to 5 job.
Hmm.
So when we wrap up here, I'm writing a report for my normal job because I still have that element that is something I'm also very passionate for as well.
Hmm.
And I think, I look at my schedule. What can I do? I know my limitations. I know that I have my 9 to 5 job. So when it comes to cheese boards and charcuterie boards, that's going to be limited to the weekend right now. Um,
Hmm.
because I need to be able to still have my normal job, but then I have my kids and I have my husband. And so, I want to spend time with them. So if it's, a weekend, I would say I'm usually going shopping the night before, going to different vendors Friday night when I'm done with work. And I am getting everything stocked in my cheese refrigerator and all of that. And then first thing Saturday morning, I'm waking up and hopefully before everyone else is, and I'm cutting up cheese, prepping it. And then I just kind of have like this assembly line of trays and boxes. And I'm just starting to, for me, it's therapeutic, put
Hmm.
things together and create. And I fortunately have a really great support system where my husband, if he knows I have a jam-packed day of deliveries, he'll watch the kids, or my mom will come over and watch the kids as well. And
Great.
then, I also take the time to say, you know what, I want to make sure that your experience is met, and I want to make sure that I'm not taking away from your experience. So if I reach a point where it's like, I have a lot of orders, I'm going to close off my books. I'm not going to try to overdo it because I want those clients to feel like, hey,
Right.
she met her deadline and I'm going to come back to her in the future, rather than thinking of the right now of I want to get as many orders as possible because I want all that money in my pocket,
Right.
because that's not the goal for me. My goal is to make you happy.
Integrity. I love it. I love it. So that is if you're taking notes right now, you definitely should write that one down. When we say, hey, we're gonna come out here, we're gonna be in the community, we're gonna start businesses, you're serving. You have to understand that you're serving and giving people the experiences that they want or need is so important. So, and you have to, if we're one woman businesses, this is something we have to know what the limit is. So that is definitely some wisdom speaking when you said, hey, I close it off at a certain time so that I can give everyone the experience that you want to give them.
Yeah.
you know yeah, that is amazing. So what would you say are the biggest challenges, the biggest things where it's like, listen, if you're going to start a business, you got to know this, and this. What you wish you had known.
Something I wish I would have known is that failure is okay. Failure is absolutely okay. And
Mhm.
I kind of alluded to it early on that I've tried other things. I knew I wanted to get into the world of having my own business. And I just thought of all these things like, oh, I like this. I like that. I'm really good at this. And I rushed into those things. And I thought way back when, a few years ago, I was like, I really want to get into jewelry making. And I realized that I love jewelry. I like those very clean, minimalistic pieces of jewelry. And I was like, oh, that's simple. That's easy. And I jumped the gun. I jumped into buying all this stuff. And I didn't really think everything through. And that failed. And I'm not ashamed to say that because I learned from it. I was able to grow from it. And then I realized, you know what? That's not a passion that will carry me. That's not
Mhm.
something that I'm going to be passionate about 5 years from now, or maybe even 3 months from now.
Right, right.
And so that was like the biggest piece early on.
That is a big one. That's a big one. Um, and it almost feels like a new thing to me as a seasoned older person. Because there was a certain time in space where it was just like failure was this big thing that you took personally that would crush your whole life. But and then the younger people started saying fail fast. All it is data. All it is information. And getting that feedback is like, this is great. It was great to get it out of my system. It's not a long-term thing. Let me take this information over into the next thing. That's a game changer. It's a
Yeah.
game changer. It's like you don't have to take it personally at all. This didn't work out. Let's keep it moving. What's the next thing? Or let's take a rest, or let's take my mind completely off of it and focus on this. And it's a blessing. Somebody told me the other day to speak blessings on your job. So
Yes.
it's like that is a blessing to be able to do what you do in this space and then have the energy to come and do something else that is on your spirit, that's your passion. So those are all great nuggets of information. Um, so again, for the folks who um, are just joining us, we're speaking with Michaelia. She owns Honey Brie Mine, and we're talking about cheese boards and charcuterie. I figured we needed a visual today so that you get the
Yes.
full effect. Because after you see the picture, what I want you to do is click on the link and support the sister. So that's what made me say, hey, I need for her to be my best friend. When the charcuterie and I said, oh, I got to be best friends with this sister. This is beautiful. So here we go. That's what we're talking about
A
today.
little art form.
Oh, it's, you know what? I stop. You know how you're scrolling, but it's like when you see this, I always stop. I would stop and drool a little bit.
Oh, thank you. That's my
Really?
goal each time.
No, really, I would stop. Um, and just be like, wow, it is an art form. And again, it's visually appealing where I could sit and look at it all day. And then, when you get into all these different tastes, it might not feel like it's a meal, but it is a meal. It's satisfying and hearty when you kind of jump in there and get all these different flavors going on in your mouth. How long does it take you to do this? Or do you have like a specific design in your head when you start?
Honestly, I don't. I sometimes might have an idea of, where I want the cheese to fall, but it's just a matter of like once I get going, it just kind of flows with me. But depending on the size, it could take me anywhere from about 45 minutes to an hour and a half to put it all together. And that's including like, the cutting, the preparation, washing all the vegetables and the fruit. Um, but again, for me, it's kind of this therapeutic element. I do have moments where I'm getting rushed and I'm up against the clock, but
Hmm.
that comes with the territory.
Hmm. I love it. Very, very, it seems very therapeutic where, I don't know. And I'm thinking everybody has to have something where they're in the moment, in the zone, and they're just kind of creating something. So that's why I see like a whole lot of magic behind that. Just the creation of it is just like that's a direct channel with spirit, really, where you're just receiving and creating and not asking a million questions or, trying to block or stop or think about it. It's just like, let me just let this beautiful thing flow out and bam, that is the
Yes.
the result right there. Girl, I see so many things on these trays where it's like I can taste it. Literally, I could taste it just looking at the tray, the grapes, the blackberries, the cheeses. Oh man, which is this something that's on sale right now? Or these tell us which one I can get right now.
Yes, so the one on the left, that was actually one that I made for my family.
Mhm.
But it is available. It's our small size board.
Hmm.
And then the one on the right, that is it doesn't look like it by the picture because of how I was angled, but that's actually a large wicker basket. And so that one's actually good for about almost, I'd say about 8 to 10 people, because there's a lot of layers underneath that you can't see.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and I believe that one was for a christening for a baby. So it was fun to make that one. And sometimes I have special requests where I will have clients that ask for certain types of cheeses or like a
Mhm.
type of design, and I try my best to get spot on to what they would like.
Mm, yeah, the one on the right is calling me. And
Yes.
yeah, you're saying 8 to 10 people, but I'm thinking me and my daughter could kill that tray in about the space of one movie. I think we could kill it.
See, and
Um,
that one, that's because it has the brie in it. That has a top layer of goat brie and
ooh,
then a classic triple cream brie. And then the one around it is actually a breakfast brie, which is more of like a spongy brie. So that's why, because you got all the brie up in there.
woo, girl, listen. Whoo, yeah, that's beautiful. So, if this is one of the prosperity projects where it's like, hey, we need a visual so you can really understand. So, all the links are posted, and you can absolutely follow Honey Brie Mine on Instagram to get a closer look. It's one of those things where social media allows us to nurture and connect with people so they can just kind of peruse over the thing that we're doing and offering. So, probably after like 2 or 3 reels, I was like, "Hey, girl, how you doing?" I was all in your, I was all in your deal. Hey, girl, how you doing? Where do we get? How can I connect? How do I get with you? How do I order? Where are you? Um, so it's beautiful work. So please
Thank
follow and
you.
support for all my folks who are watching, the people who are watching in replay or into the future. Go ahead and click the link and show us some love right here in the Bay in Alameda. And there's so much great energy behind this. If you're just joining us, please make sure to watch to the end, then go back and watch the beginning of the replay because there's a whole lot of great nuggets in here. So the show's not over yet though, because we do have our top three. Uh,
Yes.
Last week we did not do the top three, but we're gonna bring it back for this week. Um, Hold on. Oh, okay. Something just changed in here. Okay, but we got it. So we have three things that we want to share. If you want to build a business based on your passion, because a lot of times when it comes to passionate entrepreneurs or passionate people, the passion is a big thing, but it's like we got to have the other pieces to make it work too. So, Michaela here has been through the fire and she's got three things to share with us as you move forward when you're trying to build a business based on your passion. So let's start with this one.
Yes.
Have a plan. Tell us more.
Yes. So, like I mentioned, I've tried things in the past and I failed. And a lot of that was because I did not have a plan. I had the overall idea of wanting to make jewelry or whatever other venture I thought of, but I didn't have a plan, a specific plan as far as who is going to be my target market, what is going to be my niche, where am I going to get my products from, how time consuming is this going to be, the name, coming up with the name of the company. Having a plan for me was so important. So when I I saw the young lady's Instagram, because again, Instagram just connects you to so much, of a young lady down in Southern California who was making charcuterie boards. I took a step back and I said, this is something that I have a passion for and I don't want to mess it up. And
Mhm.
I've had passions and I still do. I have passions with a lot of stuff. But I said, I want to take my time. So I started off with, okay, this is my goal. I want to launch my company, and I did it a little strategically. And again, that goes into having a plan. So when I launched Honey Brie Mine, it was February 1st of 2021. So only
Mhm.
a few months ago. And I picked that date for a couple of reasons. Number one, it was Black History Month, the start of
Mhm.
Black History Month. And I said, this is a way that I can kind of pay homage to just my background and my culture. Number two, I think it was like a week before Super Bowl Sunday. And then it was 2 weeks out from Valentine's Day.
Mhm.
So I said, okay, that's my goal. So I have a goal. And I did not have a goal in the past, because I
Mm.
think a lot of the times when we're wanting to start something, we're all very excited. We want to do the now, now, now. And we're in this time of instant gratification is just so important, and we need that. And I had to tell myself, this is a marathon. It's not a race. We can't just jump into it, because you've done that before and you didn't float. You sank right to the bottom.
Mhm.
So I set out a goal and I started to formulate plans. I started to think about, okay, where am I going to resource my products from? Who's going to be the primary person to supply me with all of the boxes and the plates, and what is going to be most cost efficient for not only me but for the client as well, because I didn't want to alienate um, different groups of the community by having just this outrageously priced product that
Right.
would not be necessarily available to everyone.
Mhm.
And so that was kind of the mindset that I went into, is like, I need to have a plan this time. And so I just kind of chipped away at it slowly. And, I would take time, buried in my phone, researching things and, ordering things, waiting for the things to come in so that I can test it out. And then I think during that time, my family and I ate so many cheese boards for dinner.
Dinner tonight, cheese.
Cheese board, because I said I need to have content for my social media page. And I said, okay, so we had charcuterie boards like every other night. And that was my chance to build content, because again,
Mm.
it's this marathon, it's not a race. So that is me, probably the biggest thing. If you're going to venture into having your own business, have a plan. Take time, take it in stride. I get it. You're excited. It's something you're passionate about, but you need to take time, because if you're passionate about it and you want it to work out well and have longevity, you want to treat it like it's your newborn baby.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to stick with it slowly and surely. There'll be some sleepless nights, but eventually that baby's going to grow up and mature.
Girl, you are preaching on very many levels. Um, and I will say that I am a creative and a passionate person. I'm not quite the business person. But having that plan and that foundation and a framework, that's the part that makes you a business person. Because I don't know, I guess what the coaching industry now, it's like, hey, are you really doing a business, or is it an expensive hobby? That's the difference between the two.
Yes.
How am I going to make money? I'm so glad you listed everything. Who's going to supply me with the things that I need to create my product? So understand that even if it's not something that comes naturally, at least it'll give you, hey, well, maybe somebody can help me with this part of it. A
Yes.
lot of things are do it yourself, because I'm a do it yourselfer, but the areas where it's not sticking, Nikki, you're not hitting in this area, you get somebody to come in and help you. If there's a goal, I always say you have to have a team for every goal,
Yes.
because you cannot do it all yourself. Some of the things you can, but not all of it. So this is great to know. And I know for me, I just understood the importance of building a framework or a grid or an overview or a
Yes.
structure. I swear I just learned how to do it in my job for radio. It's like, oh, wait, is this what everybody's been doing this whole time? I just been opening the mic and going for it. But it makes everything so much easier. Okay. You build that foundation. You don't have to think about it every day again. So, taking the time to build out and plan out is, that right there. I'm so glad that's number one, because, and if you're saying plan, I don't need no plan. Look, get some help before it's too late. Get somebody to help you create the plan for yourself. So yeah, that's awesome. You ready to move on to number two, or you have a little more for?
Let's do it. Yes. No, because it goes perfect with what you just said. Having
Mm-hmm.
that team behind you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Connection over competition. I love this one.
Yes. So for me, I found that, I'm not this, I'm one person. And for me to have this mindset coming in that every single person that is also making a cheese board is my competition,
Mm-hmm.
that is going to set me up for failure.
Yeah.
Because there is so much knowledge, especially when you find a niche, there's so much knowledge in that group of collectives, because they themselves are experts in this field. And you can just draw inspiration from so many other individuals, where you can follow somebody. I remember in the beginning, I was kind of timid, like, do I follow another charcuterie company? Especially if they're like servicing the Bay Area as well. And it's like, yes, because we need to support each other in this field, but also we can bounce ideas off of each other. I have so many chat groups with different gals that are in this industry from Southern California, from Canada, from, a woman in Lithuania, that we just bounce ideas
Yeah.
off of each other. We get feedback on how did you handle this situation? I came upon, this type of difficult task. Did you have a way to do this? Do you have an alternative way that maybe I haven't figured out just yet? And that allows you to just enhance yourself and grow. And that was the biggest thing that I had to check myself and say, you know what? At the end of the day, yes, I'm in business for myself, and I have this business, and there are people out there that might be labeled as competitors, but they're really my teammates in this, because they themselves know exactly what I'm going through, and they can give me so much knowledge on how to do something. And again, there's however many billion people in this world, I can't make all of them a cheese board. So
That's funny.
it's a great goal to say, yeah, I'm gonna take over the world. I'm gonna be Pinky in the brain for the entire world and take over the world when it comes to cheese. But that's not realistic.
That's not what it is. Oh, girl, you made me think about. There's a book. uh, Chillpreneur. It's
Oh,
called Chillpreneur by Denise Duffield Thomas. And she's talking about this particular thing, and particularly with women, and just the overall programming for men and women, how there can only be one, there can only be one. And it's like you're not, how did she say? It's something to the effect of you're just part of the conversation. You know, you're not like the end all, the be all. You're just part of the conversation.
yeah.
You're a contributor. I think that's how she said it. You're a contributor.
I
You're
love
not the
it.
person with all the answers. And it's so true. It's, on the spiritual level, we could open up any spiritual book and it'll talk about how we're all one. Mays and Frankie Beverly said it. But, that's exactly what it is. It's, if you just go with this flow of connection, that'll lead you everywhere. And sometimes, a lot of people just never get out of the programming. They think you got to defeat this one. You got to get everything.
Yeah,
No, no. What's for me has my name on it. It's looking for
exactly.
me. It's looking for me. It's going to know me when it
Exactly.
sees me. That's my look at life there. It's going to know me when it sees me. Whatever the thing is that I'm looking for, it's looking for me. Um, so it's great to know that. And the other favorite thing about the pandemic, if I could just, put that out there about how the virtual space made the world even smaller or bigger, depending on
Yes.
how you look at it. That you could talk to somebody, did you say Lithuania? Let's talk about cheese boards and how, there's so many answers in so many different spaces. And, the internet and, digital virtual Zoom, all that other stuff. I made a whole lot of international friends during this pandemic as well. And it's like, it's so
Yes.
satisfying to know that there's always somebody to connect with and, make your life easier,
And
so.
having those connections ultimately will build your brand. I've
Mhm,
had opportunities where I I was not, especially early on, I didn't have a lot of clientele. Granted, I had more clientele than I realized I was going to get, but
mhm,
not compared to what I have today. And because I had built up some of those connections, there were other charcuterie companies that were booked and they would refer people to me because I
mhm.
had built that connection. And the
Right.
same thing can go with, a jewelry business. It could be, I'm in this bind, I need these necklaces, but this particular owner might not be in stock, but let me refer you to somebody else who can.
Easy peasy.
And those connections can go a long way. So don't be afraid of your competition. Follow them on Instagram, follow them on Facebook, say hi to them, hype them up in the comments,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, it's exposure for you, but also you have some type of connection if you have questions down the line that you haven't encountered yet. Or if you need to refer somebody as well, because that's a part of your customer service. If I'm fully booked, I'm happy that I'm able to refer my clients to somebody else and say, hey, I know this particular company here in the Bay Area will take good care of you. Next time, I hope to be a part of your special day, but right now I'm unfortunately fully booked. They're going to take care of you, and they're going to do the same for me.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And see, I love it when someone gives you verbiage. That's great verbiage. Not all of us have a way with words. It's like, well, what do I say? I can't. Somebody just gives you a couple, say, here, baby, tell them this. And, that sounds great. It sounds like it's coming from a great space. It's like, you know what? There was this great girl and she referred me to somebody else. I think I'll go back to her for the next time. Um, that keeps the love and the good energy circulating in our communities. And, I totally appreciate, having conversations that give you those little nuggets, the verbiage and the stuff that, all of us can't figure out all the little pieces. So, that one's great. Okay. So any more for connection over competition, or do you want to move on to number three?
No, I think we hit that one.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Okay. So number three, willingness to learn and evolve.
Yes. This is by far my favorite
Mhm.
because I think as much as we go through life, we go through our 12 years of school and then college if you choose to do that, and grad school if you choose to do that. And then we think it stops after graduation. No, it does not. And
Mm.
this is not just for just a business mindset, but for everything that we're doing. And I think we have to continue to learn and evolve. Learn from your mistakes, evolve with the climate. It doesn't matter how big or successful you get and how much of an expert you are. There's always going to be something. There's going to be a new product on the market. There's going to be for me, a new jam coming into the market, or a new
Mm.
technique of how to fold the cheese.
I love it.
I think of like Amazon. All of us know who Amazon is. We've either shopped it, seen it, whatever. We know Amazon. They're this huge company, but they are still evolving. They're still learning.
Mhm.
And, like all of us, they had to go through that pandemic too. And
Yes.
so they had to figure out, what are we going to do now? How are we going to enhance our services? And that's kind of what the mindset that I take is, how can I continue to evolve? And to kind of go back to having a plan and how this ties into your plan, you know, I could have taken on, I'm going to do catering as a whole. But I realized, no, I'm going to do one little thing that I'm really good at. I'm going to perfect that. And then the other things will come, because eventually I had people asking me about charcuterie cones. Hey, do you do charcuterie cones? And I was like, well, I never thought of that, but let me see.
Uh-huh.
And then that became a second menu item for me,
Wow.
where that was a popular thing. And I've now, done weddings and open houses with charcuterie cones or cups. And so I just took it in stride and learned every day. I would reach out and connect to other people, pick their brain, stalk them on Instagram and look at
Mhm.
their techniques. And I can't be afraid to say that I'm still learning and
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure it out, because every day when you have a new business, a business that is mature, there is always something that is going to come about that you're like, I haven't encountered that yet. And I need to learn how to either perfect it or how we can work with it to best serve you.
Man, see, I love this conversation. I wrote down work and details, because it's like you don't know what it is until you get to what
Yes.
it is. I always say the answers are in the work. It's
Yes.
like until you start moving toward something, you just sitting on the couch and trying to think your way into something does not work. It's like you have to move, the calling, connecting, being in certain places and having questions asked of you. Okay, wait a minute. That's something to think about. It could change your whole trajectory.
Yes.
Just the detail, the question, or just an opportunity. So this is amazing. And the word minutia, the minutia and the details, that's the fun part. That's like when you can feel it happen, you can feel yourself evolving. It's like, wow, and as scary as everything is, it's almost like when you get on the other side of that fear of whatever the thing. It's like the thing wasn't scary at all. The fear made it this whole big mountain. And then you get on the other side. It's like, oh, wait, that was an email that took me 2 minutes to compose. Why was I tripping 4 weeks about
Right?
that? So, when you know better, you do better, so the whole constantly evolving and, growing into a whole new version. It's really deep. And I love that there are all these things that have evolved for you inside this work. It's certainly more than just cheese.
Yes.
It's a whole lot more than that. Okay, so willingness to learn and evolve. Did you have more to add to that?
I would just say that, be open. Like, that's the big thing when it comes to learning and evolving. You have to be receptive and open to other people's thoughts, maybe
Mm-hmm.
suggestions, ideas. You know what? I can't do it all. I understand that. But maybe I'm going to take that little nugget of knowledge, put it in my back pocket, and maybe that's something that's going to be on the back burner simmering for a future launch or
Love it.
something else that I need to do. And, even when it comes to just the business side of things, there are so many avenues that you don't realize when you enter into business for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes you don't see it right away. When you're making that plan, you might not think about, okay, what's the fine print on the contracts going to say? What's
Mm,
the fine print on this? And sometimes you have to go through something to realize, okay, let me add this in, let me do this, let me research that. So don't expect to know it all from day one, but be aware that things are going to happen that you're going to have to evolve with.
mm. I love it. I'm receiving all of it, all of it. So yeah, when we started, we talked about, the self being where everything starts, and breakthroughs that you need to unleash your healthiest, wealthiest self. And, sometimes just a word, a conversation, some acknowledgement. Sometimes other people have to give you that permission that wouldn't happen in your head. It's all these little things that add up to like the unfolding, uh, letting our passions turn into something that
Yes.
can be a business, or that can be a part of our lives, that can, bring us some extra income. It's so many layers in here that are just, it's so super fulfilling. Again, fam, we want you all to follow and support. Did I spell everything correctly? Honey Brie Mine.
Yes, that is it.
That's it. Follow her on Instagram, or you can go to her website, www.honeybriemine.com. Is that correct?
That is it.
Yeah, and I know you're planning something, even if you're not planning anything. I know. Hold on, let me pull the pictures up again. If you just want a cheese board, I look at these and I feel like I want one all to myself. I just want all those flavors happening in front of me, and just going through everything. It just sounds like such a good experience to just have one to yourself, for whatever the reason or the occasion. Please follow, hit her up, support, order, and tell folks about it. Share. This is the support that we're talking about, because we want to see evolution, more evolution, because
Yes.
everything is looking good, but it's like, hey, let's see how far we could go,
Yes.
and pushing Honey Brie Mine out there, for more people to experience. This has been so amazing. I feel better about my whole life every time
Thank
I have
you.
this guest on the Prosperity Project. Thank you so much for being with us, with the beautiful kitchen in the background. This has all been perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. And, I hope that, this just kind of sheds light onto not just cheese, but just where your passion can take you. And
Mm,
remember that you are your own expert at your passion,
I love
and
it.
you bring your own flair to it. And if you find that flair, you find that passion that you have, the opportunities will be endless.
I receive all of it, sis. As I explained at the beginning, she's a Virgo, so Virgos talk. I listen. I
Yes.
receive. I receive all the good information, girl. Continued success. We will support. I'm gonna think of something to do, so I can just order a real big cheese board. It's like, mommy, what you do? Hey, this is for you and me, baby. We're gonna just see all these things on here. Alice Deuce, thank you so much for being with us. She says, yes, very informative.
Thank
Very
you.
informative, very inspirational too. Michaelia Parker, Honey Brie Mine, please follow and support. Thank you, sis.
Thank
And
you.
thank you. And thank you guys for being a part of the Prosperity Project today. We'll be back next week. And actually, next week, I have something super special. Uh, we're going to be at a new time next week, but I'll give you all the details. Just keep your eye on my Facebook page here, or my YouTube, or on Instagram. You can follow me at Nikki Thomas TV. Prosperity Project, we've done it again. Thank you so much, Michaelia. Y'all have a great day.